when did your entrepreneurship begin? I'm curious if there's anyone out there who began doing what they do now as a hobby or side hustle. How did it begin? Were you working full-time at a job that was just meant to pay the bills, then left to go pursue your dreams, etc.? How did you start? So, I mean, I know my answer. You want to go first, or?
No, because I didn't start what I did as a hobby or a side hustle.
Okay.
Um, I ended up, I had a boring road to where I ended up.
Sounds very typical of you.
Yeah, I know. Like I started in the culinary world,
Right.
and then I ended up working for a food distributor selling into restaurants.
Yeah.
And from there, I ended up with a um, marketing company that basically did website development at the time. And then from there, I got into marketing because like my first cold calls were, hey, have you heard of this thing called the internet?
Yeah.
Like maybe you should get a website.
Right.
And then we just went through the natural progression. And we added graphic design, then we added SEO, then we started adding AdWords management. Like it was a progression that just happened, right? And so I ended up here um, really the boring way. Like what's interesting to me about what I do is the psychology portion of it, understanding why people do what they do.
Yeah.
I'm not, I like the data, but like I'm not a huge fan of the graphics or that portion. I do it because it comes with the
You're a data
territory.
guy. I get it. You're a data
Yeah.
guy. My story is very different. My story is I was working at a company. I was the, again, back then we called it the webmaster, right?
Yeah.
Which was a cool title back then.
Hmm.
Not so cool now. And so, while I was doing that, I had I had two cell phones, one for personal, one for the new business I was starting up. And I did it as a side hustle. It was building websites and working on programming and stuff on the side. I would never do it at work because I never wanted to, I would never want to be that guy. Right? I was tried to be respectful. But at nights and weekends, man, I was just off coding, building other platforms, building websites for people, etc. And then eventually just got to the point where I had enough business coming in on the new thing that I've realized if I focused my time on it, I could make just as much money I did at my current job. That was a lie. That didn't work. That didn't work at all. So I left my job. I started had my company going a little bit, but I didn't make nearly as much money as I did at my job. And for a variety of reasons, it was just me. I didn't know how to run a business at the time. I didn't know about sales. I didn't know about, a virtual assistants or anything like that. Calendars, what are those? It's whoever I'm on the phone with is what I'm working on now, I did it for a couple of years and it was okay. I made some money, but I never, made nearly as much as I did, working for someone else. Then, a few years go by. I had a partnership for a little while, and then I decided I'm going to back into the workforce because now that I knew about business, how to run a business, learned from some people, learned from my partners at the time. They had good expertise in certain things too. It was finally time to, okay, I'm going to have a larger plan now to starting my business. First, I went back to law school because that's what I wanted to do anyway. And then after law school, I went and started my practice and with the new business mindset and everything like that. And it started as a side hustle that didn't work out too well. That brought me back into the workforce for a little while I kind of started
Right.
again. And
So the hobby failed, and then the other,
the hobby failed. Yeah,
yeah,
the
and the
hobby
other
didn't work out
interest,
too well.
yeah,
So, I don't know. I think a lot of people probably start like that. They probably started as either as a hobby or a side hustle. I don't think most people just jump into a business. Maybe they do when they're younger. Like, I can see a lot of kids starting by cutting grass and then, grows a little bit.
hmm,
And by the time if they go to college or they're in college, they have like, 50, 60 customers. They're like, you know what? This is a business. And like our friend Scott did that, it's like he started when he was 14.
yeah,
He started cutting grass. And by the time he was 20, he had a flourishing
oh
business
yeah,
of cutting grass. And now he's probably in his 50s, right?
it's gotta
Scott?
be,
Probably mid to late
late
50s,
50s,
probably.
yeah,
I mean, he's the biggest name in the area.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like,
And he doesn't touch the landscaping
and he doesn't
company
touch
anymore.
it. He doesn't know.
No, he has a guy that runs it basically
Yeah.
for him. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's crazy. So it's just that's what happens. You know, it's sometimes it's a side hustle. Sometimes it's,
So now I have a question for you.
yeah.
So was this law firm your first successful business?
Well, define success.
So like I had my first business was a pizza place,
Yeah.
right? And basically went bankrupt, right? Like we screwed up
Yeah.
and had to close our doors, right? Failure.
Okay.
Second business was a website that tracked events for local college students in a town.
Right.
Ended up selling that off to a local newspaper.
Okay.
Success. Um, yeah, and then since then I've joined marketing companies, all that stuff, right?
Okay.
Right now, successful business. I made a living off of it for 20 years now.
Right.
Oh, wow. Uh, so I would consider it successful if, have employees, all of that stuff. So
All right.
like,
So when I let's start back in the early 2000s when
mhm,
I left my job and started my business. I
yeah,
actually had two businesses going at the same time.
okay,
In high school and through college, I was a DJ.
right,
Right. And I did a lot of like mobile DJ. So I was doing clubs and stuff for a while, but then
mhm,
I was a mobile DJ, you know, events, weddings, what have you. And then I had the web business, right?
right.
The DJ thing I did through probably 2015, 2016.
Wouldn't you say that's a hobby that you'd turn into a
You you
business,
you
kind
could you
of?
could absolutely say that,
Okay.
and I can tell you I made more money with that than, and I made a lot of money with that.
Hmm.
I made more money with that than I did the web stuff for a
Right.
while.
So we can say the DJing was successful, the web stuff was not.
So with the web stuff, what happened was I was considering just stopping, and then I met a guy. We partnered up. We partnered with another guy, and so they kind of converted into
Okay.
something. That business is actually still going, and
Okay.
they're doing quite well. And I love those guys, and I haven't talked to them in years. So Gatsby and Keith, if you happen to be listening, miss you guys. I'd love to talk to you. But no, they're doing quite well. But no, I left that to go to law school
Okay.
because I couldn't do law school and
Yeah.
run a business. There's just
No,
no way.
I get it.
So successful, I don't know what you mean by successful in that case. They're successful now.
Right.
We were doing good when I was there, but then the economy tanked in 2008, 2009,
Oh, yeah.
and I left in 2010.
Okay.
So I didn't help build it back up to where it is today. So I don't know if it was successful
in
or
that
not.
case, the success came when you guys joined forces,
Yes,
but you were
yes.
struggling by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's kind
Yeah.
of the lesson that I think is that as a standalone unit by yourself, doing everything yourself, sometimes it can be hard. Finding someone that is a perfect fit and joining forces
Yeah.
can take something that is a struggle to becoming successful pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right. So, because the reason I bring it up is back in 2006, I started here in the US. 2007, I was struggling. 2008,
Everyone was struggling.
everyone was struggling, right? And then I ended up partnering up with two other marketing companies, and I became the white label provider for their websites.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I went from struggling to not struggling, right? So, but it was that I was by myself. So I was out doing the sales, I was project managing, like I was doing all those things because I wasn't able to drum enough business, and I was working 18-hour days, right? But the moment I had that steady sales force, which were the two marketing companies, now I could focus on project managing at night, communicating with them. They needed very little communication because they were communicating with a client. I was just getting the cliff notes, so to speak. And that gave me more time to develop my own business and network and sell and do those things, right? But without the two of them, I probably would have struggled for quite a while more because like it was the nature of the business.
Yeah,
It takes
it
time
was.
to drum it up.
So anyway, I don't know. Okay, Bobcat, that answers your question. Everyone's got a different path,
Yeah.
right?
And everyone has a different start.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the there was a lady that calls me. This is a decade ago.
Yeah.
Right. And she's like, "Hey, my dad just invented a product and he's trying to figure out how to market it." And I'm like, "How old is your dad?" It's like, "Oh, he's 62. And that's
Good
when
for him.
that's when his entrepreneurial journey started.
Love it.
They grew
Good for him.
they grew the business for 5 years, ended up selling it out to a major provider that bought the
Fantastic.
licensing to the product.
See, it's never too late.
It's never too
It's
late.
never too late.
I don't care how old or young you are. Like,
Yeah.
just start. Remember that if you have questions or comments, please drop them below and we will prioritize actually answering the questions on these videos.